Welcome back to our journey through the echoes of time. Today, we venture into a realm where ancient texts and ancestral whispers converge, revealing a story of celestial beings who descended to Earth, not just in one corner of the world, but across continents. This is the story of the Watchers and the Forgotten Children of Africa. Most are familiar with the tales from the Book of Enoch, a text that speaks of a group of angels called the Watchers. They descended from the heavens, tasked with observing humanity. But their story took a dramatic turn. They taught humans forbidden knowledge, arts and sciences that altered the course of civilization forever. These beings of light, as they were often described, became deeply entangled with humanity, blurring the line between the divine and the mortal. But what if this story isn't unique? What if the same celestial event was witnessed and recorded by different cultures, in their own unique way? Let's turn our gaze to the vast and ancient continent of Africa, a cradle of humanity and a repository of profound spiritual knowledge. Long before the Book of Enoch was written, African oral traditions spoke of powerful sky beings. These weren't distant, passive observers. They were active teachers, culture bringers, and the progenitors of great dynasties. Their stories are not just myths. They are the foundational truths upon which entire civilizations were built. Consider the Dogon people of Mali. Their traditions, passed down through generations, speak of the Nommo. These were amphibious beings who came to Earth from a companion star to Sirius. The Dogon described their vessel descending in a great whirlwind of fire and sound. The Nommo, they say, were teachers. They brought the gift of agriculture, teaching humanity how to cultivate the land. They imparted the arts of weaving, smithing, and building. They established social order and spiritual law. The Dogon's astronomical knowledge, which includes details about the Sirius star system that were only confirmed by modern science in the 20th century, is said to be a legacy of these celestial visitors. Are the Nommo not, in essence, watchers who guided humanity towards a new dawn? Now, let's travel north, to the majestic land of ancient Egypt, or Kemet, as its people called it. Here, we encounter the Neteru. Often translated as gods, the term Neteru has a much deeper meaning. It refers to divine principles or forces of nature, but also to the primordial beings who established civilization along the Nile. According to the pyramid texts, the oldest religious writings in the world, there was a time known as Zep Tepi, the first time, when the Neteru walked among men. Beings like Osiris, Isis, and Thoth, also known as Jehudi, were not just mythological figures. They were seen as the original divine rulers and teachers. Thoth, the great scribe, is credited with inventing writing, mathematics, medicine, and magic. He was the keeper of sacred knowledge, a guide for humanity's intellectual and spiritual evolution. Is this not the same role attributed to the Watchers who taught humanity forbidden arts? The stories echo with an uncanny similarity. The parallels don't stop there. Across Africa, from the Zulu tales of star beings to the Yoruba cosmology of the Orishas who descended to shape the world, we find a recurring theme: divine entities from the sky who engage directly with humanity, offering knowledge and shaping our destiny. In Yoruba tradition, it was Obatala who descended from the heavens on a golden chain to create the first humans and the land they would inhabit. He was a creator, a shaper, a guide. So, let's connect the threads. The Book of Enoch describes watchers descending from the heavens. The Dogons speak of the Nommo arriving in a celestial ark. The Egyptians remember the Neteru ruling during the first time. All these narratives describe beings of immense power and knowledge, coming from the sky to interact with early humans. All of them are credited with teaching humanity the fundamental skills of civilization: agriculture, architecture, law, science, and spirituality. Could it be that we are looking at a single, global event described through different cultural lenses? Were the beings known as Watchers in the Near East the same entities known as the Nommo in West Africa and the Neteru in the Nile Valley? The names change, the details shift, but the core narrative remains startlingly consistent. We were not alone in our infancy. We had teachers. The Western interpretation of the Watchers often carries a negative connotation, of fallen angels who disobeyed divine command. But in the African traditions, these sky beings are often revered as benevolent ancestors, the wise progenitors who set humanity on its path. They are not seen as fallen, but as foundational. They are the original ancestors, the first teachers, the divine guides whose legacy is encoded in the stars, in the stones of great pyramids, and in the rhythm of the ceremonial drum. Perhaps the narrative of fallen angels is simply one interpretation, a later judgment placed upon events that were, at their core, about the transmission of knowledge. What one culture calls a transgression, Another might call a gift. The forbidden knowledge of the Watchers, astronomy, metalworking, writing, were the very tools that built the great civilizations of Africa and the world. Without this celestial intervention, would humanity have made the great leaps forward that it did? As we peer back into the mists of prehistory, the lines between angel, alien, and ancestor begin to blur. Maybe these categories are too rigid for the truth they attempt to describe. Perhaps the truth is more fluid, more interconnected. Perhaps the Watchers, the Nommo, and the Neteru are all facets of the same great mystery, the story of our cosmic heritage. They are the echoes of the gods, the celestial family whose presence is still felt, whose teachings still resonate. They are not forgotten. We are simply learning to remember. The hidden truths are rising, and they are calling us to look at our shared past with new eyes. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. If these ancient echoes resonate with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more journeys into our hidden history. Until next time, keep questioning.